Welcome to the Sales Influence Podcast, where we talk about finding the why in how people buy. I'm your host, Victor Antonio. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for lending me those ears. And if you're watching this on video, I appreciate your eyeballs as well. Today, I want to talk about that dirty little secret in sales, indecision, right? Now, years ago, I talked about a study that I came across. I was very fascinated. I call it the jelly jam study, right? Like jelly as in jelly jam. And what they did is day one, they set up a table with 24 flavors, right? And they wanted to see how many people would approach the table and buy the jams, right? The next day, they only put out 6 flavors, and they wanted to see how many people, again, would approach the table and actually buy. Which table sold the most, 24 flavors or 6 flavors? If you guess 6 flavors, you are absolutely correct. And the interesting thing is this. 30% of the people who approached that table with only 6 flavors actually bought, 30%. But when it came to the 24 flavors, only 3% of the people who approached that table actually bought. So the question that becomes is why? I ask this question all the time in my workshops, and I hear, well, Victor, that's because too many choices, right? We all know the phrase, a confused mind will never make a decision. Great line, right? A confused mind will never make a decision. And when you got too many options, your mind is confused, so it'd rather not make a decision. But why? Here's why it doesn't want to make a decision. It would rather not make a decision rather than make a decision and then be wrong and regret it. That is called buyer's regret. In other words, I'd rather not make a decision because if I make a decision and I'm wrong, I'm going to regret it. So therefore, I'd rather not make a decision. So buyer's regret is a very powerful resistance factor for people making a buying decision. We in selling have to help customers make a buying decision because, again, when confronted with too many options or maybe too much risk, customers will say, you know what, I'd rather not make a decision because here's the indecision, dirty little secret. When you make a decision and you're wrong, you can be held accountable for it. When you don't make a decision and you are wrong, but since you didn't make a decision, nobody will blame you for not making that decision. Let me say it again because this is important to understand the psychology of buyers. If I make a decision and I'm wrong, I could probably lose my job, right? I could be held accountable. I can lose my job. I can lose money, whatever it may be. I can lose. It's tangible when I make the decision. Now, when I don't make a decision, and even if it turns out making no decision is wrong, I won't be held accountable. In other words, I won't get fired. And so think about your buyers when you're approaching them to make a buying decision. They're struggling with that. If I make a decision, Victor, to buy your product or system, let's say I'm selling a high-end product, something that's 50, 60, 100,000, even more up. If I make that decision, I put my name on the line, so to speak, I sign on the dotted line, I'm held responsible for that project. So what is our job? Our job is to obviously help the customer make a buying decision. But at the same time, what we have to do is, here comes a key word, de-risk. De-risk the actual purchase. In other words, you have to make the customer secure that the decision they're making is the right one. So my question to you is, how do you do that? How do you do that in your close today? When you're talking to a customer, how do you de-risk the actual purchase? How do you make them feel more comfortable? How do you lower that resistance? What do you tell them? What do you show them? Do you show them client testimonials? Do you take them to a customer's premise where they've installed your product and service and they're using it? Social proof. What do you show them? What do you tell them? But more specifically, what do you show them to make them feel comfortable? And I'm asking you this rhetorical question, but it's something you should consider seriously. If you're talking to a client and you know they love your product or service, you know they're in, but it's a big decision, what are you going to show them to make them feel comfortable? Again, you can show them customer videos, a customer testimonial. That might move the ball forward, but is that enough? Maybe they'll want to do a field trial first. Okay, well, let's do that. That moves the ball forward. Or maybe you want to take them, as I said already, take them to another customer's location who's actually using your product or service and let them see the results. So keep in mind, when you're going for the close, you know they want to change. You know they're past status quo. They know they need to change. You know they want to make a decision, but you feel that slight hesitation. Then maybe you should ask yourself, am I showing them enough to make them feel comfortable? Because if you can show them how it's going to work, and then almost guarantee that it's going to work for them, all of a sudden you're going to see a difference in that conversation. And let me know what you think of that. Let me know if you actually apply that in your sales process. What do you show them? How do you make a customer feel good about themselves? If you, for example, are selling weight loss products, what do you show them? What do you highlight for them? If you're selling a software package, what do you show them? Again, what do you highlight? Do you use customer testimonials, customer examples, whatever it may be? I want to hear from you. And that is it for the Sales Influence Podcast. Leave me some feedback on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, or wherever you're listening or watching. I would love to hear what you actually do in your process to de-risk the situation. And on that note, check out the Sales Velocity Academy. We got some great new courses on there. Every month we're adding new content. And on that note, this is Victor Antonio, always reminding you that selling ain't hard when you can de-risk a situation and you know how. Take care.
Hi, I'm Victor Antonio. I'm an author, sales trainer, and keynote speaker. I'm often asked, what makes a great speaker? Is it someone who delivers real content that the audience can use? Is it someone who engages the audience so they're part of the learning experience? Or is it someone who can motivate an audience to push them beyond their comfort zone and discover new abilities? The answer is yes. But the most important thing to remember is that I'm not there to look good. I'm there to make my client look good. Simply put, it's never about me, and it's always about them.